Welcome to the Easy Peasy Life Podcast. I'm your host, Poppy Lee, and this is the space for midlife women who are tired of feeling overwhelmed and ready for life to feel lighter, calmer, and more joyful again. Each week, we'll talk about simple habits, mindset resets, and easy tools that help you feel more in control, one small step at a time. If you're ready for peace, clarity, and your comeback season, you're in the right place. Let's make life, well, easy peasy. Good morning, good morning. Happy Throwback Thursday. What you doing? How you been? What's going on? It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood and I'm super excited to have you on here. Good morning and welcome back to the Easy Peasy Life Podcast. I'm your host, Poppy Lee, and I'm so excited to have you here today. Welcome. Take a deep breath. In for 4 and out for 6. Welcome. For those of y'all who don't know, I am in a little folk town called Dripping Springs outside of West Austin. If you continue west, you're going to hit Johnson City. And if you continue west further, you're going to hit Fredericksburg, Texas, the home of over 200 wineries and breweries in the local area. And if you're a fellow wine drinker like I am, cheers to wine and cheers to good coffee. Welcome. You guys, my motto of the day is each day you have a choice, whether to be happy or sad. It's up to you to find the positivity in life. And I hope that I inspire you every single day to do that when you start off your day. If you know someone who could benefit from listening, please share this podcast so you can brighten up their day as well. So welcome. My mission statement is I will empower women in their midlife to recognize their inner and outer beauty, fostering personal growth and self-confidence every single day of their life. So welcome. You girls and you guys, this podcast is for women who have been holding it together for everyone, maybe for years. And somewhere along the way, they forgot how to take a real breath. So grab your coffee, take a real breath, and let's lighten the load. Let's go. So today, guys, on episode 10, we're going to be going over something that says when life feels heavy and you're the one holding it all together. So doesn't that feel that way sometimes about life, where we as midlife women, we feel like we're the ones that have to hold everything all together and we never do a lot of stuff for ourselves. And I do believe that it's really important for us to make sure that we take care of ourselves, whether it be listening to motivational videos in the morning, affirmations, getting our nails done, getting a massage, getting our hair done, whatever the case may be. It's important for us to make sure that we take care of ourselves every day to make ourselves emotionally available. So when something happens in our life, we're strong enough to handle it, right? Because our strength is going through the difficult times and working through them. And that's how we learn to be stronger and wiser at our age. So let's go on to quote of the day. So quote of the day says, you can't heal in the same environment that made you tired. That's so true. So you can't be healing yourself in the same environment that hurt you in the first place and it made you tired. So read that again. Let's read it again. You can't heal in the same environment that made you tired, because sometimes it's not you that makes you tired. It's your surroundings. It's your routines. It's your calendar. It's your expectations of yourself that is putting so much pressure on yourself. The life we build out of responsibility can slowly drain the life out of us if we don't pause and ask ourselves, wait, is this even working for me anymore? Now, on the other podcast, I talked about how we've been going through so many cycles and so many consistent things in our life that in midlife, we finally realize and we finally get wise enough to where we're like, this is just not working anymore. Like, this is not working for me anymore. I've got to do better for myself. And that's why during midlife, not only are we feeling so uncomfortable with things because we're wiser and we want to change all the patterns that are not working for us anymore. That doesn't mean they weren't working for us before, but that means now that our life has changed. But not only that, physically and emotionally, we're changing too. And that's why it seems so difficult, but we're also wiser and more knowledgeable that we want to change things in our life to make sure that we're not so tired in our life and we're not still doing everything for everyone else without taking care of ourselves in the process. Okay, so I remember back when I was still teaching, back in my 18 years of teaching, where I was teaching special ed and general ed and so forth. And bless each teacher out there, because it is not difficult. And I know this week, because I was doing the same thing for 18 years, this week you're just like, I cannot wait to get to Friday. I can't wait till tomorrow. And I was thinking of y'all yesterday, because as I was driving down past Goriski Middle School yesterday, I was like, I remember today was an okay day for middle school, because today, which was yesterday, a lot of times the parents would come together and the PTA or PTO would create this whole huge luncheon for us. It was amazing. Like they would have desserts, vegetables, and they would have casseroles, and they would have turkey and ham and all of this good stuff. And that usually happened on the Wednesday before we were dismissed for Christmas break. So it was super, super exciting on the Wednesday, because we'd have this huge luncheon. And sometimes if you had teacher assistants like I did, I could go back and get seconds or some to take home. But anyway, it was amazing. And those are the things that I really do appreciate and I really do miss, are those times that I could spend with my fellow coworkers and also with the parents that were near and dear to me. And they all were. Some were more difficult than others. But anyway, but bless all the teachers out there who are just waiting on tomorrow to get here, because some schools actually have early dismissal on Fridays. So anyway, bless you teachers out there. And so back then when I was still teaching, I realized how structured my life was around everyone else's needs. So how many of you raise your hand in the comments if you feel that sometimes, where your life has been so long just structured by everyone else's needs except for yourselves? Bell schedules, lesson plans, meetings, permission slips, and having to ask permission to pee. I always laugh when I say that, because I'm like, oh my God, I was an adult with a college degree, but yet I still had to ask permission to pee. And I know the reasoning behind it, right? I didn't want to leave my kids alone. Fortunately for me, the last 3 years of teaching, I actually had like a bathroom in my classroom, because it was a special needs severe student classroom. And then I had a bathroom right outside there as well. But we had a huge classroom, a huge kitchen. Can you imagine that? Because we would teach our kids how to cook and things like that. And we had a huge bathroom. It was amazing. Anyway, one of the reasons why it took me 3 years to leave, because I love my teacher assistants. I love the room, my classroom, everything. It was just amazing. Anyway, so I look past the bathroom and I think, is this my life? So towards the end of my 3 years teaching, I was like, is this my life? I'm a grown woman, and I asked permission to go to the bathroom. I love my students, but I was drained mentally, physically, and emotionally. And it's true. And most of the time when you teach severe special needs students, and oh my God, I could do it to this day. Like I absolutely love it. But it's not just a matter of teaching, right? But when I was teaching special needs students, it's not just about the students, unfortunately, nowadays. It's about all the red tape. Every time I had a meeting, I had to get almost 50 pages ready with research and notes and crossing on my T's and dotting on my I's and everything else. And that was for every single, I did have 12 students, and you're like, that's not that many. Yeah, but they didn't just have one meeting a year. They had, anytime you wanted to make a little change, you had to do the whole meetings again. Anyway, it was just, and after 3 years, it gets really, really tired. And I was emotionally tired. Like, kudos to you guys who are teachers right now and you're in your 50s and midlife and going through menopause. Good Lord help you. Because not only did I did that back then. I can't even imagine doing it now. As emotional as I am now and having to go through all this stuff and then dealing with pleasing administration and pleasing parents and making sure I'm on the up and up. And I had 6 teacher assistants and I had to make sure that they were doing what they did. And by the end of my 3rd year, I was just like, I told my principal when I first started, and a lot of people, I get it. They don't necessarily have the privilege of saying this, but fortunately my husband was really, really supportive of me. And he always has been for the 20 years that we've been married. He's been amazing. But he saw me so many times when I came home and I was so distraught. And he was like, why are you doing this? Life is too short. Like, why don't you find something else that you want to do that makes you happy every single day? And I've always told my kids too. I've told my kids, hey, I don't care if you go to a job and you make $10,000 a month or you go to a job and you make $2,000 a month. If you absolutely love the job that you make $2,000 a month doing, do that and do a side gig or a side hustle or whatever on the side hustle on the side. That was hard to say because it's so important, especially in midlife and waking up in the morning, that you wake up to something that you love to do. That doesn't mean it's always going to be easy for you girls. It doesn't mean that. But what it means is that you're going to be willing to go through the struggles. Amen in the comments. That you're willing to go through the struggles that you have to go through if you do enjoy the job that you're doing. Because no job is going to be cushy. Don't get me wrong. No job is going to be easy. There's always going to be challenges. But if the job is worth doing, it's worth doing badly and it's worth doing poorly and through problems and challenges because you love doing it, right? You know the meaning behind it. And one of the most important things for us to do in midlife is to have meaning behind what we're doing because we're already going through enough emotional shit as it is through menopause and everything that this is already hard as it is, right? And so it's really important for us to realize that. And so when I was teaching, I was like, this is not, and I told my principal when she hired me, I said, teachers nowadays, fortunately, they can substitute and make without the benefits, they can make relatively about the same amount of money, which is crazy if you're substituting without lesson plans and all the stress of teaching and everything. So when I got the job, I told my principal, I said, I want to do this because I want to work with special needs students because I absolutely love them and I want to do this. I want this job. But I also told her that whenever I was done with the job, I was going to be done with the job. Because I didn't feel that it was okay for myself, for my husband, and for my kids, and for the students I work with and the parents that I work with, that I would keep on doing a job that I was miserable doing. I didn't think it was fair, even if it meant for me to do totally something else in my life. So when I was done when I went and I gave in my resignation, I told her, I said, and she even offered, she was so sweet. She even offered me, she said, do you want to be a teacher up in resource upstairs? Do you want to do something else to switch it up for yourself? And I was like, no, I don't. And she said, do you want to be a teacher assistant? And I looked at her and I said, I love teacher assistants and I love my teacher assistants and stuff. And I had 6 of them and I loved them all. And I said, but if I'm going to come here, I do have a college degree. And if I'm going to come here and work and have to get over here at 7:30 in the morning and leave at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to be paid what I'm worth because no offense, but teacher assistants, they do too much work and they do not get paid enough. And she laughed and she was like, I understand. And I was like, I'm sorry. And I said, I appreciate it. And I said, but when I feel like my heart is ready to get back into this, I'll definitely give you a call. And 3 years or 4 years later, she ended up resigning. But anyway, and I went, and the funny thing is I used to teach at Oak Hill Elementary School. That was one of the most favorite jobs I had in the world. And I passed by there yesterday and I was like, oh, because I actually taught, and I promise I'll get back on subject in a second. I always go off on a tangent. I love talking to you guys, but we had like Oak Hill Elementary School, and then we had an annex in the back. The annex in the back was a separate building, and you actually had to walk a sidewalk outside to get to the annex. So you would walk to the annex. The good thing about being in the annex is we were like our own little school in itself. I taught bilingual Spanish and English to pre-K kids. I was the only one that did that. And I started off with like 4 kids. It was amazing. I started off with 4 kids. I had a teacher assistant that would kind of rotate around the different classrooms. And I started off with 4 and I ended up recruiting, I think like 18 by the end of the year. So it was amazing. I loved it because we were like on our own. Nobody bothered us. I swear I saw the principal twice in the whole year that I was teaching. One was because she came to do my, and I'll tell you this in a second. She came to do my evaluation or whatever for the year. I had star reviews. I'm not bragging, but I am. And the other time I saw her was when we went into the main gym and we had a pep rally. And so I saw her speak. And one of the things I loved about her, Jeanette Barlow, I loved her. One of the reasons why I loved her is because it wasn't all the, hey, let's do an interview. Let's have like eight administrators and teachers and head lead teachers and everything else doing an interview. I interviewed with her. And that was it. And when I went in for the interview, it was really interesting. I went in for the interview and I talked to her. And at the time, that was in 1999 that I got the job. I went in and I interviewed with her, and I was on an emergency Spanish certificate at the time. I had a special ed certification, general ed certification. And I also had, in mine was, my special ed was pre-K through 12. And then my regular ed was first through 6th grade. Or 8th grade, something like that. Anyway, and my special ed certification I needed, they only gave emergency certificates for a year. So what ended up happening, the only reason I left that job was because I ended up taking the test. I passed the written Spanish test, but I didn't pass the oral Spanish test. Yo estuve bien enojado por eso. I was very mad at that because I was like, I speak Spanish better than a lot of people. But y'all, they're really, really picky. So I ended up not being able to sign another contract. It killed me because I love that job. In that annex, it was me as a pre-K teacher, bilingual. Then it was 2 other pre-K teachers, I think, and then 3 kindergarten teachers. And that was it. We had our own cafeteria in the annex. It was amazing, amazing, amazing. And anyway, when I had the interview with Jeanette Barlow, I said, I asked her, what about lesson plans? And this, I'll never forget her telling me. She said, because I was like, when do I turn in lesson plans? Do I turn them in on Fridays, whatever? And she was like, I don't need to look over your lesson plans. She said, if I have to look over your lesson plans, I wouldn't be hiring you in the first place because I already know what you're doing. I already know that you know what you're doing, and I'm not going to challenge you. And I was like, holy crap, Ola, Batman, what's going on here? Like, you're my angel. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing what I wasn't supposed to. It's because and give me a thumbs up in the comments, so many of administrators, and they're pressured to, I understand that, but so many administrators and the educational world is so worried about pleasing somebody else and making sure you're doing whatever, that we as teachers have gotten away from teaching the way we love to teach because we've had to be teaching the test. And I've been in a middle school and had to teach the test too. Teach the teach the tax test and teach the STAR test and teach this test and teach. That we've gotten away with the heart of us who really loves to teach how we were meant to teach from the heart. And that's part of the reasons why I couldn't do it anymore and so Jeanette Barlow, she was like, do you want this job? And I was like, absolutely. I want this job. Like, absolutely. And so anyway, Oak Hill Elementary School was amazing. And I'm still friends on Facebook with a lot of the teachers and they may even watch this podcast. But a lot of the teachers that I was friends with in the annex, I'm still friends with to this day because they were amazing. And that was in 1999. Seems like yesterday, but it wasn't. Okay, so that was the first whisper of change because I was like, I looked in the bathroom and I was like, when I was in my middle school years teaching, I went past the bathroom and I was like, I'm a grown woman asking permission to pee. And so many teachers have to do that, right? And I love my students, but I was just emotionally drained. Like I was just not into it anymore. And that first whisper of change for me was all I needed. I didn't know what I would do next, but I just knew I couldn't keep living like that. I told Rick, I can't do this anymore. I wanted freedom. I wanted creativity. I wanted to challenge myself in new ways, like doing something like this podcast. So when I finally left teaching, it wasn't like rebellion, like I'm never going to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm never looking back. It was survival. I was in survival mode. I was like, if I have to take medication to keep doing this job, I'm not going to do this job anymore. If you have to take like medications or herbs or whatever you want to take, to do something though, to keep on doing something you absolutely hate, you need to really reevaluate reevaluate your life. And so it was me saying, I want to choose my hours, my income, my peace. And that's when I decided, this is what I'm going to do. I've got to leave. I can't do this anymore. I want to be happy. And I remember another time that I thought that way too was when I was sitting with Lynn. I had come home from teaching and I was thinking to myself, I'm going to meet Lynn at the winery. Because I did that a lot of times when I was like, okay, I'm just kind of like done. I need to decompress, right? How do y'all decompress? Drop it in the comments. How do y'all do? Do you go for a massage? Do you go for a glass of wine? Do you get a facial? Do you get your hair done? Do you go just for a walk? Do you go pray? Do you meditate? Do you take a bath? Do you go in nature? What do you do to decompress on a daily basis or maybe a weekly basis? I don't know how much time y'all have. But so I went and I met with my friend, one of my best friends, Lynn, and I was talking to her and I was crying. I was bawling. We were at Sidecar down here in Dripping Springs. And I was like, I went through this and this and this and this and this. And she's like, Poppy, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this to yourself? Like, why are you doing this? And she knows what it is to work hard. Bless her heart. She would drive. She worked for the IRS for a couple of years and she would drive in the middle of the night. She did like the night shift and she drove all the way to South Austin. And how many of y'all, you work so hard that you just got to do what you got to do. And I get that too. I understand that too. So she drove all the way to South Austin and she did the night shift. So she would work like from 7 or 8 o'clock at night. She would work till like 2 or 3 in the morning. But the reason why she didn't hate her job necessarily, the reason why is because coming back on 290, and some of y'all know, like Nora knows how it is, coming back on 290, she almost hit deer. I don't know how many times, and I think she actually did. When you're on 290, it's going from South Austin all the way to Dripping Springs, and it is a scary highway. It's one of the most dangerous highways in Texas for sure. But anyway, it just got too scary for her. So let me talk to you about why life feels heavy sometimes. So do you ever wake up and you're already tired? Like you wake up in the morning and you're like, I can't wake up even though I wake up. Like I'm waking up, but I still feel tired. That's not laziness. That's your soul saying, hey, something's off. Like you wake up in the morning, you're like, why didn't I rest? Usually that means is because in the middle of the night, you're either dreaming or you're not in REM sleep or you're not getting complete sleep because you're worried about so many things that you wake up and you're tired. So I want you to understand that midlife comes in layers. Parents aging, kids grown and they're still calling, asking you for advice or money or whatever. Work pressure, hormones doing the up and down thing that mine have been doing like crazy. And through it all, we still try to smile and we hold everyone else's pieces together while our pieces are slipping. But here's the truth. You can love your family and still need a break, and that's okay. You can be grateful and still want more for yourself and take care of yourself. You can have faith and still feel frustrated. You can still have it all together and still feel the feelings and not have to be weak. Two things can still be felt at the same time. Okay. You can still feel frustrated and do good things. You can still feel angry and still get things accomplished. At least in midlife, you can.
If you're ready for simple ChatGPT prompts that make life easier, grab my free guide at easypeasyprompts.com/busywoman's guide. It only takes a minute and it's made for busy women who want quick wins and less overwhelm.
So you know you're doing too much when your grocery list looks like a novel. Your phone alarms sound like a DJ set. I laugh because this is exactly how mine is. And your self-care is just sitting in your car outside your house 10 minutes before going in. We joke, but it's real. Because those 10 minutes in the car, that's sometimes all the silence that we get, right? So we can be in the car still listening to our Audible book that I've been listening to for a long time, right? Have a long grocery list because we haven't had time to go. And my phone alarm, y'all, I can't even tell you how many times my phone alarm goes off for everything. Why? And I've been meaning to talk to my husband about this, unless he's on this podcast. But I can tell my husband, and bless his heart, he has so much patience. But I will tell you something, sometimes some things lately, I've been feeling especially off. My mental load has been heavy. And although I don't have kids at home, Libby this week, my little Yorkie, has been going, she's been having a real hard time. And so I took her to the vet twice this week because she was shaking profusely and panting. And come to find out, her little anal glands in the back needed to be expressed. For those of y'all who don't know, dogs do have anal glands in the back. And sometimes when you see them rubbing on the carpet and stuff, they're not being gross and trying to wipe themselves. They actually are trying to get it stimulated back there to release them. Because for whatever reason that happens. I don't know why God made them that way. At least we don't have to release our anal glands and rub ourselves on the carpet. That would be gross. But anyway, our dogs do go through that. And so she couldn't do it. Bless her heart. She's so little. She's 6 pounds and little. So she couldn't do it on her own. So I had to take her to the vet to get it done. And after that, it ends up being somewhat painful. And so then she was going through so much. And crazy thing is, I'm part of a holistic Yorkie group, dog group. It's called Kathy's Yorkies Tips and Suggestions. And it is amazing. And they recommend amazing supplements for dogs, holistic supplements. And one of the things I will say is that one of the girls, so she has a list of women, probably 15 different women that you can reach out to in a private message if you have specific questions that you have for your dogs. It's amazing. And I work with Dana Smith, and she is my angel. She's wonderful. She actually was my little Lily Bean, the one that I have here. It was 1.5 pounds, 5 years old. She ended up passing away. But Dana helped me through that whole situation with Lily the whole 5 years. And now she's working with me with these. And she does it out of the kindness of her heart. She doesn't get paid. They don't get paid. They do it because they love Yorkies and they love the mission and the vision for the group. Anyway, and so she was teaching me what to do and different things. And although I love vets, sometimes they don't have all the answers. Vets didn't study nutrition. They don't necessarily. And I will tell you, I've gone to the vet and taken my dogs to the vet and stuff. And they literally smirk or smile when I tell them certain things I'm doing. And that's fine. But they're my dogs and I'm going to do whatever I have to do for them. So anyway, Dana, I picked her brain. And I wasn't sure if Libby had eaten something out in the yard or what her deal was. Come to find out, she did need anal gland expression. But anyway, long story short, Dana was like, if her stomach's bothering her and stuff, she was like, do this, this, and this. And I did. And then she was like, and give them, and it's even good for humans, give her some slippery elm. And I've done this before. So when I was traveling back and forth a lot to go see my mom, I would take the dogs with me and they would get motion sickness, car sickness. And I would split the capsule in half and mix it with some water. And they absolutely hate it. And I get it. And it's gross because it's almost like slippery mucus. Yes, it's gross. And then I put it in the back of their mouth and they have to eat it. But what it does along the way is it coats the lining of their stomach all the way down through their intestines so they don't get car sick. Now, if they're having a stomach ache, and if you're having a stomach ache, trick of the trade, tip for the day, buy some slippery elm at H-E-B or Sprouts or wherever, and keep it in your arsenal of medication, whether it's herbal, whatever, in your cabinet. Because if you ever get a stomach ache, pop one of those capsules and your stomach it doesn't hurt at all anymore. It's amazing. And so I gave it to her. And let me tell you, she was able to eat. She was able to poop. Because when she pooped the day before, it was gross. There was a whole bunch of gross stuff in her poop and everything. And I was like, that happens sometimes after you take them to the vet with nerves and all kinds of stuff because of the expressions and everything. But I gave it to her and she was fine. She's been fine ever since then. And I was like, I should have done that the day before, right? We always kick ourselves in the butt. But no, I'm going to pat myself on the back because I actually did it when I remembered and when Dana told me to. So anyway, slippery elm, get it on Amazon or wherever you want to get it. It's relatively cheap, but the most important thing is if anybody, your child, your grandchild, you yourself, anybody having a stomach ache, pop one of those pills. You'll be fine. Okay, so you've already hung in with me this far. So here's the thing that might just blow your mind. Most of what overwhelms us isn't what's happening around us. It's what's happening inside of us. And we midlife women understand that, right? Because a lot of times, especially since I've had a hysterectomy, I told my husband, this is the time right now I can feel it that I would normally have my monthly cycle. So if I'm a biatch or something's going on, I'm letting you know ahead of time, okay? I'm being a nice wife. So most of the time, everything that overwhelms us is not you, and you. It's what's going on inside of us. And we think we're buried under responsibilities, but half the time we're buried under expectations that we have for ourselves or other people, most of which are the expectations that we created for ourselves. The super high expectations without giving ourselves grace or understanding. It's the expectations that we have that are overwhelming for us. So when you start releasing the belief that you have to do it all perfectly, suddenly the world gets a little bit lighter and our life gets a little bit lighter when we don't put so much pressure on ourselves. Now, here's the tip of the week. Try this tomorrow morning. Before you touch your phone, I'm going to hold you to this. Before you touch your phone that's on your bedside table, ask yourself one question. What can I let be easy today for myself? So what's one thing that I'm not going to put so much pressure on myself to do or to say or to feel? What's one thing tomorrow morning? So before you do that, and of course I would have to set an alarm, and then I would look at my phone and say, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to talk to myself and tell myself, what's one thing I let be easy today? In case my brain fart, midlife, menopause brain turns on before I think in the morning, right? It might be dinner, so you might order out. It might be laundry, so you might skip a day. Good luck with that. It might be your mood. Let it be okay if it's not perfect. So one thing I challenge you tomorrow, and I will tell you and remind you, one of the tools that I use every single day, go to easypeasyprompts.com. It's packed with the exact prompts that I use every day to reset my mind and simplify my life. But I'm not giving everything away here. I want you to go and get it for free. Okay. But that's one thing that I use every single day, whether it's to make dinner in the evening or whether it's I use ChatGPT for almost everything. And y'all know I've said that 1,000 times. And so let me give you a faith moment. Let me just say this. God doesn't hand you peace by clearing your schedule. He doesn't. He doesn't say, here's peace. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to have to do anything today. He gives you wisdom so you can decide what stays and what goes. So he doesn't wipe everything out and say, you're not going to do anything today. He's going to give you the wisdom and the knowledge to decide what's important and what's not necessarily important, so you don't put so much stress on you. That's the blessing of midlife. We finally have the courage to say no to what drains us and yes to what feeds us. Okay, so thank you so much, women, midlife mamas, for spending part of your day with me on the Easy Peasy Life Podcast. Thank you for coming back. I really appreciate you. If today made you laugh, a sigh of relief, or a little bit of hope, please share it with another woman that absolutely feels the same way that you do. And if I made you cry or laugh or be happy or be sad, but most importantly, look forward to the day, please share it with somebody that you know that would love to feel the same way. Remember, you don't have to prove you can do it all. You just have to believe you deserve peace while doing what matters most. Make sure you follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I also have a YouTube, and I also have Easy Peasy Prompts on my Facebook page. But make sure you go to easypeasyprompts.com and get your free guide for my ChatGPT. I love you guys, and I hope you all have the best Thursday ever. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Easy Peasy Life Podcast. If today's episode encouraged you, make sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss one. Don't forget to grab your free guide at easypeasyprompts.com/busywomen's-guide. It's perfect for busy women who want life to feel easier. And join me live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'll see you on the next episode. Let's go.